Welcome to the Terror Drome.
Oh,
Right?
that's a deep reach. Oh,
You like that? You like that throwback right
I
there?
do.
Yeah.
Me too. That was James Woods, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. Love
Yeah.
James Woods. Chews up like every scene that he's in. Just absolutely devours it.
Yes.
Right. So, how are we doing tonight, fellas?
We are doing awesome.
Yeah. Are we ready to talk about a couple
Doing awesome.
topics here, or more than a couple? Maybe three or more topics betwixt the three of us, plus a Tim,
Plus a Tim,
plus a
plus
Tim.
a Tim
Give
vid,
or give or take a Tim.
a Tim vid.
A Tim
Like a,
vid.
it's like a Tim bit.
Timbit, bit Tim.
You know what a Tim bit is, right?
I do not. What is a Timbit?
He's
From,
Canadian.
from Tim. Yeah,
Timmy's.
exactly. From Tim Hortons, the Timbits donut holes.
Okay, yeah. So no, lost on me. Too
Yeah.
far
Oh,
south. I lived too far south in my life.
oh. You
They got
haven't
them
got hit
down
by the
here
corporate.
now.
Yeah, you haven't gotten hit by the corporate wave of what Tim Hortons has now become.
Oh no, I have not. Can't say as I have.
Well, that's that.
So what's on
Yes.
the agenda tonight, there, Troy?
Well, I think we're gonna start off with a Tim bit, little Tim vid, um, from the Great White North, and then we're gonna talk about some, taking of breaks, a little bit of timing, and uh, the search for new DMs.
I like it. Shall we begin?
I think we shall.
All right.
I think we should first introduce ourselves.
Oh yeah, we should probably do that
I
too.
think we should first introduce
There, right?
ourselves.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
allow myself to introduce myself and
too.
others.
Myself.
Myself.
Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah. We got down here below me. We've got Professor Matt, and he's going to be talking about taking breaks tonight. Um, Matt got a little bit of a shout out on Sly Flourish's one of his little streams that he does.
You fancy.
Yeah, you fancy, which is all cool. And then the gentleman in the hat.
My games.
What's that?
They like my games. They're good.
Yeah,
They're good.
Yeah. I really enjoy Sly Flourish. I love his content, and he's a fun player.
I'm a hard working DM. Because he's so lazy. You get it? I'm not.
There you go.
That's what I say.
You should start your own thing. You should start your own thing. Hardworking DM.
Blue collar DM.
Yeah, blue collar DM. And then we got Professor John.
Hello, everybody.
Down there, the Dwarven DM.
That's me.
Yeah.
Getting dwarvier and dwarvier every day that this beard goes more and more out of control.
Look at that beard.
Give it I'm letting it go until Winter Fantasy. I fully expect to walk through the door of the convention center looking like something like a chubbier version of Robin Williams when he came out of the Jumanji jungle. It's just like the beard just like everywhere.
Yeah. I'm just
letting it go.
That's a disturbing mental image.
Maybe thread in some goblin teeth and plats of silver and things like that as trophies.
Okay.
Yeah, I like
that.
I don't see a single split end on that. I call that is impeccable.
It's oil. I'm telling you, the oil does it.
Beard oil.
Oil, yeah.
That's why I only have an almost beard. Once you get to like the real beard, that's work.
At least it's full enough to where it doesn't look like just a patchwork quilt of skin and hair. So
yeah, half a goatee here and a quarter of a mutton chop over here that doesn't quite connect up here. Yeah,
right, exactly. It's like you're not singing "All I Want for Christmas Is My Two Front Teeth." You're like,
you get the monkey's tail.
I want the bald spots to go away.
Yeah,
that's good though. It's a respectable beard.
Yeah, it is. It is
monkey's tail. That's what my beard is good.
Yeah, and I think this will end our segment of beard talk on Heralds Guild.
Yeah.
And I am Troy, and we will be talking at you. And Mitch has joined us.
A wild Mitch has joined the channel.
A wild Mitch,
right?
His coconut coconut oil self
smells like the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to tell a community server? I'm allowed to. Am I?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
What?
I don't know. Ping. Matt's gonna ping.
I'm
Ping
not
the master.
pinging. I'm a posting. Pinging. Oh, I don't mean to be as presumptuous to ping anybody.
Well, as long as you get consent first.
Well, yeah. All right. So, shall we begin with some field notes from our friend Tim?
Yes, let's go to our man in the field,
Yep. All right.
GM Tim.
Here we go.
Oh, hey. Give me a second. How's it going? The GM Tim, field notes. Chill field notes. Today we're going to talk about taking a breather. So, I don't know about you. It has been one hell of a long haul. The last few months just feel like, wow. Really, it's just like time to take a break, right? And you know what? I just want to let you know that's okay. You're allowed to take a break. You're allowed to take a breather. In fact, you know what? Let's all do it right now. Everyone just close your eyes. Even the hosts, close your eyes. Close your eyes. Let's take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Do it again with me. In and out. One more. In and out. Does that feel good? I know. Really chill. New age. Hippy dippy. Whatever you want to call it. When it comes right down to it, when you're a DM or running games and you're doing lots in a row and you're doing lots of weekends in a row, you have to take a break. And that's good. It's okay. It means you can keep your creativity high. It means that you can have a good game the next time you get back to it. Even if you're in the middle of the game and you need a break, go to the bathroom. I know it sounds silly. Put your headphones on if you don't want to hear things. Just go for a quick walk. Just be like, we need a quick bio break. Go take a quick few deep breaths. It'll help you recenter yourself. It'll help you come back and be fresh for the next set of the game. I used to think that I'd have to be like always on and always there and always ready and always playing and always running and eventually you just break. It's too much. Take a moment. Take a breath. Take a couple. Enjoy yourself. The point of all of this is to have fun, and you can't run a good game if you're not having fun. Feel a little bit better? I do. See you all in a few weeks. Enjoy it. Deep breaths. In and out. Bye.
Almost fell asleep. I was so relaxed.
I'm refreshed.
Look. Let me say this. I think that Tim's advice is incredibly timely.
Yeah.
I'll be the first to admit I have not shown up. I haven't run a game outside of my home group in almost 3 months now. And just that constant pace of running games for the public. Not 2 months really. He's right. September was a lot. There was a lot going on in September for us. And so I will echo his encouragement to take a break from it if you need to. Walk away, recharge, read some books, watch a couple movies, play some games that are not D&D maybe, I've done that quite a bit. Reading stuff that's not D&D, playing stuff that's not D&D, watching stuff that's not D&D. It's been cool. It's been good.
Very much.
Yeah.
And don't even don't
read
take this
Dwarven Gods
advice
for your descriptive language.
Right. And you don't need to follow this advice when you've had a heavy gaming month like what September was.
Mm-hmm.
Especially this time of year. The holidays, a lot of people, I myself, deal with a lot of extra anxiety, extra stress during the holidays. It doesn't do you any good to power through and do all those old school platitudes, manning up and all that kind of junk. No, it's not
Oh yeah. How
about
was
any of that. Take care of
you
yourself.
you service industry? How was night before Thanksgiving last week?
Oh, yeah.
Amateur hour.
Yeah. It can get a little crazy. Well, for me, it used to get crazy. It doesn't get crazy like that anymore. But yeah. So yeah, take care of yourself because that's what it's all about. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of your players.
Yep.
This stuff
So
should recharge you, not drain you. If it's
Well,
exactly.
a lot
draining,
of
not
times
putting
when,
anything back, yeah, step away.
depending on who you are, what your personality is, right? You play when you run games, you're emptying your cup,
Hmm.
and so it's okay to take a break and refill every once in a while. And sometimes whatever that refill looks like, whether it's more of a Zen meditative approach, the way that Tim's encouraging, just like stop, take a breather, walk away from the table for a little bit, even if it's not in the middle of. And to his point too, it's not just about taking a break from gaming or running games or playing games. Sometimes it's literally you got a really intense situation that's at the table, or you've been playing for hours and hours on end. You need to get up and
Wait,
take a
this
break. Your players don't have to
that's
tell you when to
that's
take a
that's
break.
my thing.
Uh,
It's my thing.
Well, I
I'm
wasn't going to
talking
say
about
it, but
my thing.
but
Yeah,
guilty
you said
dog
it.
barks first is what I
that's
was going to say.
no, that's yeah.
Yeah, man, you gotta don't kill yourself over it for sure.
No, so that was my Tim had to take a break in general. It's okay to step back. Mine was in game
Yep.
breaks.
Hmm.
Um, Even in Adventures League play, convention play, when it's timed, and time's really, really important, and you have to pace everything out. Think of the breaks too. I used to think one in a 4 hour game was enough. Now I'm of the opinion that two or three, depending on the party, uh, it helps out. They come back refreshed, more focused a lot of the time, recentered. A lot of people could be want to use a bathroom. They're not half the time. They're not going to say anything. So give them a chance to just get up. Sitting for 4 hours straight isn't good for you. We do it a lot, but you shouldn't. Stand up, move your legs around, circulation, all that stuff helps players refresh, clear their head, and come back. Even in a 2 hour game, like to take a little break in the middle. And it's a good time to, on the way out, while they're going to the break, that's a good time to kind of get a vibe check, see where everybody's at, see if everybody's having fun. Just quick, hey, how's everybody doing? Because in that break, that gives you a little time to maybe change something if you have to. But yeah, no, breaks are important no matter home game or convention. Still try and schedule them and make time for them. 5 to 10 minutes is what I always tell my players. If they're in a really big hurry to get back, usually they make it five. They're there before me. They got something to do. They make it 10 minutes. Hey, that's cool too. So yeah, don't forget that, and try and get that into your timing when you're doing your prep.
Yeah, I definitely like that. And I definitely like the idea of taking that temperature check. Asking them if they're having fun. If and especially some of the subject matter of the Adventurers League games here recently may have gotten into the area of being a little bit heavier with the Mist Hunters stuff. Um, and it's good to kind of take that check because we use our safety tools and we're supposed to use it is required of us and we should want to use them anyway. So, um, but I would say that a lot of times the players will read the description of that adventure and it'll have the little warnings that are called out and they'll think to themselves, I'm good. That's not going to bother me. It's never bothered me before. Well, there's always that chance that it might be something new, something that catches you the wrong way. And asking, like Matt does, how's everything going? It gives the players a chance to kind of rethink. It's like, ooh, I thought I was okay with spiders, but now for whatever reason I'm not. during this game.
Why did you say spiders the size of medium-sized dogs? Bigger spiders I would have been okay with. Smaller spiders I feel, but medium-sized dog spiders are just the absolute worst size for spiders.
Yeah, I mean, it could be whatever. It could be whatever. And by taking that temperature check, you're gonna find out, and you're gonna know to, oh, I gotta steer around that a little bit or tweak that dial. Yeah, good stuff. Real good stuff. Yep. Bah. Uh,
No,
hold
I
on.
couldn't
I got
hear
it. We're
you.
good.
Make
We're
okay.
good. Yep.
That was actually a public service.
It was. It was.
That
I clicked the
we
wrong
No,
checked.
but
button.
it is. Yeah, you should. You take a break too. You deserve it, and it's important because if you're going, you can start to build up that like anxious energy momentum when you can just break it, just pump the brakes a little bit, slow it down, go, whew, relax, step back from it, come
Yep.
back fresh, ready to go. I get some people they want to stay there in line of fire. Like I get that too. If it's not for you, hey, I'm not saying you have to do it because I get that too. I've been there. Like, no, I'm ready to go. I can't wait for him to get back. I'm ready, ready to go.
Yeah.
And sometimes during my breaks, like I've had players just the big thing like, do we get to fight something? Oh yeah, at the end, big fight. But like nobody's really taking me up on the like any problems, and I tell them like any problems at all, please tell me now. Like, don't be afraid of hurting my feelings because like I'm here for you to have fun. Don't be afraid to hurt my feelings and tell me, yeah, man, can you speed it up a little bit or like you do an awful lot of talking, bro, or like anything like that's not going to hurt my feelings at all. Please tell me so I can change that for the next 2 hours or the next 3 hours. I'd rather know right away why I still have a chance. So
Yeah.
I'm earnest as I can be when I tell my players that because I hope they so far have been lucky, but mostly like we do get to fight some. Oh yeah, but yeah, if they did have something for me to say, that give me an opportunity that I don't have at the end of the game.
Right. And it's also great to slip in a sneaky course correction. You know, when the players, because we all know those lovely players like to throw monkeys into our wrenches
Mm-hmm.
and turn left when they should have turned right, and call for a break. If it's really befuddled you, call for that break so that way you
Oh,
can.
I do that all the time. Like, hold
Yeah.
on a second. The DM loading screen. Let me think on this.
Yep.
Yeah,
What would
that's not a bad. I mean,
happen?
it's not a bad. You could do it as subtly as you want to, or you can make it as obvious as you want to. And I think
Yeah.
both options are fine. But like we, I know that we all feel like we have to be on 100% of the time, and they can never see the cracks and crevices in our in the walls that we built around ourselves. But it's okay for you to take that break if you need to walk away from it for a couple minutes. Like to Troy's point, if you if the whole not just one player but like the whole party go zigs whenever you thought they were going to zag, take a bio break, get that 5 minutes to clear your head, walk, get your blood flowing again, and then try to think through
So,
that
so
next bit.
you don't like to hear your players gloat about how they've broken the DM while you sit there befuddled with a dumb look.
I've
Yeah.
done it plenty at my tables. More than enough. Have had it recently. I've had to pick my jaw off of the floor whenever my players went left when I thought for sure they were going to go right,
Mhm.
and that's okay.
Yeah. Mitch brings up a really good point. You know, even though Matt is being very earnest when he's asking for that feedback there at the table, they're not likely to offer it up at that time. But that doesn't mean don't ask.
Mm-hmm.
Get
It
in them
it
DMs.
it gives them that feeling of, well, this DM is really concerned with how we are imaginary. Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong name. It wasn't Mitch. Sorry. It was an imaginary friend. Um. Anyway, yeah, it gives the opportunity for the players to kind of like get that feeling of the DM is really here for us to have a good time. And even if they're not going to say, "Hey, I really don't like it when you do voices," or "I really don't, I want more fighting," or "I want less fighting," or whatever it might happen,
Usually, yeah.
it still, they might not offer that up, but they had the opportunity, and that will stick with them, and they'll take that with them later on down the road. It's like, you know, I enjoyed the fact, or I appreciated the fact that the DM asked.
Mm-hmm.
I should have said, but I didn't.
That's when I do like the learn to plays and stuff. That's one of the reasons I want them to be cognizant of the 3 pillars of play and what they like, what they're all about. I want them to be vocal about it. That's one of the reasons I don't sign up for a lot of these. I'd be too vocal. You guys would hate me. But yeah, no, I want them to tell. So that's how you have a good. If they don't say anything, good time, great, fantastic. But I want the dialogue to at least kind of be there.
Yeah, you want that door to be open, so in case someone does want to walk through. If you don't give them that invitation, they might not. So, anything else about taking breaks? Whether it's taking breaks from
Find
the
what fits for you. Usually in story, you can naturally find good places. Like this would be a great place for little bit. Like you can usually figure out scene changes because then you come back, do a quick recap of the last scene. Now you're on to this scene in this new locale, new location, blah blah blah. So you can usually naturally see where there's good places for breaks. But yeah, do what works for you and fits best for you and your players. Let them know ahead of time too. Like how about we take a break an hour 15 from now, because people busy and stuff, they there for 4 hours, they might have to schedule a phone call or a medicine or something like that, so them know kind of having a schedule for the next 4 hours, that's half a work day, like them knowing what's going on, kind of that helps them out, reduces some anxiety and makes it easier, the game's more accessible, easier for them to plan their day around.
Heck yeah. Yep. All right. I think that that leads nicely into my topic, and that would be timing. And for all of these the games that we run, we're a lot of times we're getting these adventures not very far in advance. At times we haven't had time to really put them through their paces to see if they fit into that 4-hour time slot or that 2-hour time slot or whatever it might be. And we're required. We have those parameters. And I would also like to mention, even though, especially like online, we basically have a 5-hour slot, right? But I caution you into thinking of it as a complete 5-hour slot. It is a 4-hour slot with a 1-hour break in between, in between the next one.
I feel personally attacked by that comment.
You are.
Some of us run back to back to back to back to back.
Yes.
Celebration was interested.
Because back in the day, before we had that hour break between each slot, like at Gen Con, it was these slots ran right up against each other, and you had to be done a half an hour before the slot ended at the most. I mean, you didn't want to go give yourself too short a window. That gives you time to do paperwork, clean up your table, get all your stuff packed up, and truck on down the road to, you might have to move to a different table or whatever. Now, being online, you don't have that. We give you that extra hour in between as a tech buffer, so to speak, in case, whatever's going on with your virtual tabletop or whatever. You can go over a little bit if you need to, or kind of massage that window a little bit. But don't think, oh, it's a 4-hour adventure. I have 5 hours to run it in. No, you don't.
And
That hour is for you.
and your
Yeah.
players too.
And your
They're
players too.
Yeah, I
They
used to
have lives
think
too.
I used to think when I first started doing public play virtually, like last year in particular, was that I'm giving them more, right? Like it's like I'm that extra half an hour that I'm giving them at the end, or what to let quote unquote let the game breathe or let the story breathe or whatever. Like I'm sure that they did appreciate it, but at the same time, even though I thought that I was giving them something, some of them had other games to get to, and they wanted to do more than stretch their legs or do a quick bio break. They wanted to, if they wanted to go downstairs and hug their kid or say hello to their significant other, or if they wanted to grab something to eat, it makes it that much harder for them whenever they've got less time to do that in between games. Because if they're doing a back to back to back, I'm not helping them at all. And
Yeah.
then it is a discipline that you have to develop over time, sooner rather than later. It's one of those the live games are helpful at convention or the convention fight because we have people that are going to come by the table and let us know, hey, 15 minutes. They'll give us a heads up.
Ooh,
So even though
alarm after alarm after alarm.
right, right. Well,
Yep.
even if they give you that 15-minute heads up, there's something that's like a mental checkpoint for me too. That like I'm expecting them to come around the corner or to come walking around the tables, and so I'm trying to make sure that I'm pacing it in anticipation of them coming back by and reminding me that there's only 15 minutes left or whatever. But that's easier. That's a crutch that I'd used. I didn't realize I was using it until I was kind of left to my own devices whenever I'm running games virtually. It's on you. If you go long, if your game goes long, that's something that for you as a DM you got to take the lump for it because your pacing has to be really important, and that timing component has to be really really important to you, not just for yourself but also for your players too, and for everybody else that's running games.
Yep. Because it's a domino effect. You start thinking, oh, I have an extra hour to run this. You don't. So don't think of it that way. You have a 4-hour slot in a 5-hour window.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're running a game right after, you want to do that next game justice. So you
Yep.
after an hour break is going to be much better than you after 5 hours straight of the
Exactly.
So,
Now, how do you get that into that 4 hours? Know your adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Read that adventure. Know what's going on. Take your notes. And like with the DM empowerment thing that I kind of beat the drum on all the time, know when to cut and know where to cut. And I'll tell you, yeah, thanks, Mitch. He's always reminding people that I pound the empowerment drum. But do not cut from the beginning of the adventure, and do not cut from the end of the adventure, because that's where the juice is, right? You get the hook in the front, and you get the big culmination at the end. You want your players to experience those things, so find something or a few somethings in the middle that you
we
can
all know
cut.
those boring rooms. You see
Yeah,
those boring rooms. Nobody wants to go. Nothing happens. That's
just
a waste of
just
time.
yep, just talk them through it. It's like if there's several rooms in the dungeon that really don't have anything, talk them through it. It's like, oh,
Oh,
we're
the
gonna go to the
treasure
next
was
door.
over here now.
Yeah,
Cool.
okay. You spend the next 20 minutes checking the next 3 rooms, and there's nothing of interest in those 3 rooms.
Hey, and
It's as easy as that.
if they're flying through everything, then you know what? Here, have some boring rooms. Good for you.
Yeah. If you're going, if you're like, oh man, we're gonna get done in 2 hours. It's a 4-hour session. Let them waste some times bumping around the corners of those empty rooms.
Oh, there's a
God, that-
statue in there. Ask me a bunch of questions about it. That'll take 10
and
minutes.
unfortunately, there has been several adventures where I'm looking forward to this one piece in the middle that's going to be just a hoot to run, and I'm going to get laughs, and the player, I know I'm going to get laughs. The player's going to have a good time with it, but if I do, it's going to eat up time. Gotta cut it.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta cut it because I gotta get within my 4-hour slot time, which is actually 3.5 hours, half hour for paperwork, and get your players on down the road. So just know the adventure. The keys to timing is know your adventure and know what you can cut, what you can truncate, and what you have to have in there in order for the adventure to work, and that they get all the information for the next adventure in the series.
Well, and let me talk one more thing too, where not necessarily just narrative timing, right? Like, or what's in the room and things like that, but also for combat. Like, you could end up spinning your wheels on a combat for a while. So sometimes the bad guys need to hit a little bit harder, or they need to have like less in the chamber, so to speak. So you reduce the hit points, maybe you lower their AC a little bit, or whatever you've got to do in order to kind of expedite the ending and kind of wrap up that combat. One of the things that I'll sometimes do, that I try not to do it very often because I don't want it to be an unsatisfying end to combat. But if a combat has become really protracted and it's very obvious that the good guys are going to win, so to speak, if the players are going to win the combat, I will montage, or I will cinematically describe how the rest of the combat goes, as opposed to rolling every single last possible dice and it just going on and on and on and on. Some of the combats can really do that in public play, in particular. Not so much in this season with Mist Hunters and stuff like that, because there's not a ton. You don't have to have combat in every single instance. Or Wild Beyond the Witchlight is like that too. But if you do run into problems in combat, you just got to think on the fly with how you can drop the bad guys faster or make them hit harder to make them maintain their level of threat in the combat and reduce that timing.
Yeah, you've got invisible dials. Going back to, we mentioned Sly Flourish earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You have invisible dials that you can turn: hit points, AC, and damage.
Mm-hmm.
If you know the characters are going to go through this combat fairly quickly, you can make turn the damage dial up, let them hit harder, turn the AC dial down so they're easier to hit, and turn their hit point dial down. So they're gonna punch the characters in the face, and it's gonna hurt, but they're gonna drop real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one way to speed up those combats. Or, like, we've got some really good comments in the chat here about if they're blowing through things, make those uninteresting rooms interesting. The statue that Matt was talking about, like Krishna says, make it interesting, make it do something, make it move, make it attack, make it whatever. Have fun with it.
Smells like strawberries.
Smells like strawberries. And if you have a combat and it's like, man, they're going too fast, turn the AC up, turn the hit points up, turn the damage down. Give them a bigger sack of hit points to pound on for a little bit. You don't want to do that too much because that gets really boring.
Or throw in another combatant.
Or throw another combatant.
Reinforcements show up. Yep.
Yeah.
It was regenerating this whole time.
Yeah, bring in minions, bring in little annoying things, or environmental effects.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Maybe it's a room where the floor starts to tilt and pivot. So start throwing dex checks in there to make sure you can stay upright and things like that. And apparently we're making Ginny's eye twitch because we sound like robots. I don't know what that's all about.
Does anybody else? I didn't notice if anybody else caught it or not.
I don't know.
So I sound like a robot.
It's a technical issue, and you don't want me dealing with that. So.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and again, if you're blowing through things, have a 10-minute break. Makes it real nice.
They've earned it.
Yeah, they've earned
it.
They're pushing through. They're pushing through. They're playing great, and you can always pull
I got a break. That's right.
Yeah, I need it. It's like, hey guys, let's take a quick 10-minute break. I'm gonna run and grab a snack real quick. I'll be right back. Use the restroom, kind of whatever. Come back, and you're good.
Okay.
So, anything else in chat about timing that we want to talk about?
Yeah, the adjusting the encounter sidebars are a really good starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They can't always be dependent upon, though, right? It's situational. You have to read.
You
have to read the encounter. But I'm with you.
Yeah, but they're a good jumping off point. I think it always gives me an idea of kind of what I might not always use the exact thing, but it gives me an idea about where I should be for that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I spice it up because I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. Boring. These guys aren't going to like that. So
Yeah, or throw in some monologuing from the foes, give them little quips and speeches to taunt the
oh,
players with.
oh, this guy's bigger and has the face tattoos. Ah, the other guy, he looks a little strong.
He
He
looks a little
doesn't
strong.
look. He doesn't look as big as the first guy. So like, well, the big guy's obviously the threat here. It's fun. Players love that.
Yeah, Ginny makes a good point. It depends on how the players are playing. Are they role play heavy? Lean into it. Are they trying to
Ooh,
blast through role play to get to combat? Lean into that too.
if they're role play heavy, yeah, that does help out a lot with the pacing because then it'll be different snags. Because
Mhm.
it'll be like, oh, there's an NPC. Most of the fighty parties will be like, yeah, this guy serves no purpose. The RP parties will be like, oh, this guy's the best. He serves no purpose. Let's sit here with him and have a tea party, which is fun too. I like
Yeah,
that. I'm ready.
which that gives you a whole another Pandora's box of timing issues when your group latches on to an NPC early in the adventure that has nothing to do with the adventure, and all they want to do is learn the life story of this PC or this NPC when
Oh,
they still have.
it's usually whoever makes them look cool, whoever makes us look better. He's our favorite. They're our favorite.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah. Make sure you're doing yourself a favor. Keep your adventure in that 4 hour window as best as you can, especially in person. Take your breaks. Give your players breaks. Give yourself that hour in between so that you can get up, stretch your legs, walk around. And also something that I've noticed to re-energize myself, if I'm setting in running a game and I start to feel my energy drop, stand up. Get behind your chair, lean on your chair.
Oh
You know,
man,
it gives
I
you a
want a
better vantage
very
point into it.
desk.
Mm-hmm.
That would up my. That's my next DM upgrade. I'm gonna get very desk, and then I'll just stand and feel powerful over all the players that are sitting because I can see them on the camera sitting, and then I'll be standing. It's a power move. I like that.
It's like, where'd Matt go?
Well, I
I'm not
definitely
gonna
like.
stand
You
up.
can tell that there's a different level of energy at the table whenever when you stand up at it in person. Right, especially when if you
Oh,
stand up during like a climactic event or something that's really intense, story driven, or RP, or if
if I put
the
my foot on
villain
the
is starting to
chair,
monologue and is getting aggravated or irritated about something, you stand up and you kind of like you're not necessarily menacing. You're just it becomes more theatrical. The
if
players
if if
lean
I
towards
put
it a bit, or they lean back a little bit, and you got that movement. There's a lot to
Mhm.
feed off of
Well, when
from
I
your
put my
players.
foot on a chair, that means we're parlaying and there's a deal, or we're plotting, we're doing some Ocean 11 stuff. Something's going down. If I put with the player, like, oh man, I'm into it
Mm.
too, though. That's why I don't even notice half the time when I do it.
Yeah, I prefer to if I'm going to stand up and lean into that, I it, I'm going to try to be menacing as I possibly. I mean,
I'm ready to deal. That's
I'm
what I'm
working with
like.
this here, so. But yeah,
What you got for
if
me? Let me
if
see
you're
what I can
if
do for you.
see yeah,
Gangster
exactly.
stuff.
If your players are receptive to it, and hopefully by that point in the game, you will have the opportunity to read your player group. Will they be receptive to you standing up and not invading their personal space, but giving that leaning in and that squinty eye and that raised eyebrow, like as if you were right there, nose to nose. And yeah, if they're role play groups, they'll feed off. Sometimes even if they're not role play groups, if they're combat groups and you're doing it during combat and you're giving them that, you know,
I want to
they'll,
play one of these games. I'm gonna be like, so if I die
you know,
in the game, do I die in real life? That intense?
I've definitely
Is it
had
like the
those.
metaverse?
I've had those tables where the players weren't super engaged in the combat or even some of the narrative at some points, but as soon as you stand up or you become a physical menace, not overly so, right, to where you literally are trying to like you're trying to intimidate somebody, but the the villain becomes more of something that they become more engaged with ending the villain, if nothing
I like
else.
I like to hit things with my notebook. It's like I like to with the axe. You come get them with the axe, or they come get you with that. Oh, I can't help myself.
And then you're gonna paper cut.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an accountant. I'm used
I
to
like
it.
Krishna's suggestion of just leaning back in the chair. Do you steeple your fingers?
And say excellent in a whisper.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Yeah. Anything to like we said, if you need to slow that down, all of those things are really great to kind of chew scenery, so to speak,
Ooh,
like James
ooh.
Woods.
Yeah, sometimes even too, it's a matter of. I know that we're kind of getting a little off topic with like acting.
No, this is
Skills,
good.
whatever.
I'm gonna get an orb to ponder. That's my next. We'll get that. That's another good
Sometimes
DM
it's
power
not
move.
even. It's not being
I'm just
loud.
gonna
Sometimes it's
put my
being
orb there and
quieter
ponder it.
and more deliberate in your speech, to where it's almost not even necessarily a whisper, but you lower your tone so much that their forces them to lean in more to hear and understand exactly what it is that you're saying, and that ratchets up. It's just a different level of intensity that you can utilize. And then that's more character that you add to a character. It's just not every
Yeah.
single bad guy has to be one that yells at the top of their lungs in order to get their point across. Sometimes it is a quiet menace that's important to have at the table too. I see we're all catching up on reading the stream chat
Yes.
here.
Yes.
I'm gonna
There's
get
a
a
lot.
pondering orb, maybe a cube.
Yeah, that's well, I mean that's another thing
Cube.
you can do, right? You can always use props even, right, to get your players' attention. Whether it's the orb, wand, hammer,
Oh, anything I can stare at intently.
hood, cloak.
Glows.
Pull the
Yeah.
cloak up
Oh,
over your
I got.
face.
I
Oh.
go personally. I like
Blah.
hats. That's my jam. My jam.
It's very Harangon of you.
I'm suddenly rather intimidated. I don't know why.
It's kind of
Rather
got
intimidated.
that almost looks like a pompadour with your filter on, as opposed. There you go. That's ears. I knew it was ears, but
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so that is a nice broad overview of timing, but like I said, just make sure you're keeping track of the clock. You want to give your players the opportunity to wrap their stuff up and get to their next game. You want to give yourself the opportunity to take a little bit of a break too.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this leads to happier DMs, right? And what do we want more of, John?
I want more DMs.
I want more DMs.
I want lots of DMs. I want DMs that. I mean, I want good DMs, obviously, but you got everybody's got to start from somewhere. One of the things that I hope that our other HG members are doing, and that anybody else that is running games, I hope that what you're doing is you're setting up a good golden parachute for yourself. That if you ever actually do want to play, that you are making dungeon master disciples out there, so to speak, right? Where you are trying to find more people to run games, and then either they run them for you or they go out into the world and they run them for other people. So one of the things that we talk about a lot is bringing more people to the hobby, and more people that don't look like me, that don't come from the same cultures that I do, so that we can hear their voices, so we can have more diversity of thought and of creativity, and like just the different things that people bring to the game that I can't bring by myself. Players are going to do that, but if you really want to see an amazing influence in the hobby, it's incumbent upon the dungeon master. And so for me, I have made a very measured intent to try to find new dungeon masters out there, and if not playing for Baldman or for the Heralds Guild, at least encouraging them to give it a try. It's really daunting for a lot of folks. Some of us that have been doing this for a while, it's become old hat, and it's just a thing that we do, and we still, we kick ourselves in the pants or in the skirts or whatever over how we should not have run a game or whatever. But a lot of people, it's really daunting just to get it started. But if you sit at a table with a person and they've got a really fantastic personality. They're really creative. You can tell that they really enjoy the game. They love it, and they are able to help you craft the story. That's a really good player, and that really good player could really probably make a really good DM. And so, one of the things that, as we were entering into this new season of running games in 2022, my one of my New Year's resolutions is to encourage more players at my tables to give it a try, to not just be a player, but encourage and challenge them to run games for their friends, run them for their kids, their family, whatever. Start from the ground up and take the risk. You know, that's the main reason why Matt Colville started his channel, was because he wanted to play more games. He didn't want to run games forever. So he wanted to try to prop up people and challenge them and show them it's really not as intimidating as you think it is. It's not impossible to be able to run a game.
Essentials kit's like $10 right now. Just give it to everybody you know.
Like $8 even on Amazon, I think, right? It's super cheap. But again, it's like the yeah, like I like if, and for me too, I want to hear from other voices in the community, and like it's again the we can say that we want to be inclusive, and we can want to be inclusive. We as a community can say that, but I feel like as the dungeon masters and the players, we all have this additional role and responsibility to encourage other people openly. It's like, you are fantastic at what you did, and like, you know what, you would be really I feel like you'd be really great at. You should take the leap. Try running a game, because I want those voices at the table. Those are the voices that I want. There are voices out there that I would love to hear from, and I want them to run games for me. And I want to see what what they bring to the table and to the hobby itself. So that's my encouragement to all of our existing DMs out there, is to go out and find more DMs, not just not just quantity, but just more. It's more of like a moral imperative that we should have as DMs, to go out and to increase the hobby. We're going to need more DMs in the seats anyway, right?
Yep.
There are so many more players coming in. There have never been enough DMs, and there probably never will be. But we have such a phenomenal opportunity with as many people as we turn through the seats in our tables. We probably run games for more people than any other home game does, obviously, or even a store, any store games, or like community games within stores, and like friendly neighborhood game stores and stuff like that. So if you find somebody at the table, or if you find that diamond in the rough, or that diamond like that's out of the rough or whatever, if you find something there, then I encourage you to encourage them, and challenge you to challenge them to running a game, and even you take on the mantle of the mentor yourself, and you can't just say, you know, here's a fish, good luck. Sometimes you have to spend a little bit of time and invest that time in it with them. I think that one good turn deserves another, in that somebody taught you, right? I don't think there's anybody, I don't know very many people out there that just like picked up the book with absolutely zero context, these days at least, and was a phenomenal dungeon master or a game master or anything like that. I learned so much from other people, watching them play, and then and asking them questions, and kind of getting their process and stuff like that too. So, you know, that's you'll have to be a mentor on top of everything else.
Yep. And that's how I usually lead into all of my sessions in conventions or online events, as everybody's getting situated and settled in. So, who here's played D&D before? Mm-hmm. What's your experience with D&D? Oh, you've played before. Okay, great. Have you ever ran a game? No. And by with that little intro, by the end of the game, if they don't take you up on it right then and there, by the end of the game or during one of the breaks or something like that, somebody will invariably say, I've always wanted to try to DM. Mm-hmm. Or something similar. That's your in. Mm-hmm. Really? You should give it a try. We have a great community of DMs. We would love to have you come in and just, so that we can learn from you and you can learn from us, and we can all learn from each other and everything else. And like John said, the hobby, the community is ever increasing, and the limiting factor is the people that run the games. Mm-hmm. So if you've got anybody out there that you know or sets down at your table that even, I wouldn't mind trying it once. Mm-hmm. if you need help facilitating that, come and find us, or reach out in the groups on Heralds Guild Discord and things like that, and say, hey, this person wants to be a DM. What do I do? Bring him into the fold.
Mm-hmm.
Let him run a game for you, whatever it might be. But
I even compliment. I'll capitalize on a compliment. Someone will say that I did a great job on X, Y, Z. It's like, well, you did a really great job too. You could totally do this. You know, it doesn't. And what I don't want to try to come off as is it's like a pressured sales pitch to do it.
yeah, no,
Right?
no.
Not even in the slightest. This is one of those things where it's more of, you're probably going to end up just planting a seed into a person's head whenever that first time that you interact with them about it, unless they're asking you specifically, hey, how can I become a dungeon master? I've always wanted to try it. Those kind of like what Troy's getting at. But for me, it's just like the nugget of encouragement that you provide to them, that affirmation that you can do this. This is not something that is exclusively my purview. I'm the only person in the world, or there's only a very select subset of people that can do it. I mean, there are some skills that make things easier for you if you already have them, but it is hard I find it hard pressed to believe that only this percentage of people can be a dungeon master or run a game. I feel like you should be able to pick it up, and you may not be the greatest in the entire world, but you can be proficient in a skill the more that you do it, and that's really what it boils down to. You can watch all the videos you want, read all the books that you want to, but you're going to get better by running games. And in order to run the game, you've got to take the leap of faith that it takes in yourself to know that you could do it without completely embarrassing yourself. And you know what? Even if you do embarrass yourself, you know, it's like Thomas Edison. You're only one failure away from your greatest success. So you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. You'll get there. Learn from the mistakes that you make. And this is the kind of stuff that we have to pass along to other people. It's like, it's okay to make mistakes. You know, as long as you're not trying to hurt anybody and you're trying to make sure that everyone is safe at the table, it's really just boils down to having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Christian makes a good point. Have a lot of fun, because then they'll want to do it.
Mhm.
If you're miserable,
Yep.
That's a
gonna be
good,
like,
yeah.
oh, that looks horrible. Let me try that out. Have a good
Yeah.
time. 'Cause
I'm
I've had
so tired.
players tell-
Oh, I've
yeah,
been
I've
running
had
games
players
all
tell me
weekend
that.
long.
They're like, oh, I had fun. Matt had fun too. That was great. No, so
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely bring it high energy and have fun, because then I want in on that. That looks neat. Yeah.
Yeah, if they're that type of person that's like, ooh, that would recharge my batteries while it drains them too. I mean, because yeah, you get tired. But that's always my weird thing is, like, you know, while running all those games at a convention will tire me out physically, emotionally and spiritually, I'm off the charts. And it's just, you know, if I had more energy, if I was 20 years old again, it'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna run all day.
I didn't think I was going to run anything at Winter Fantasy, but then I saw I can run the entire hardcover. That's neat.
A glutton for punishment.
Yep. So that's anything else about trying to find new DMs, timing, or taking breaks?
Go forth and find them, and
Go
then
forth and find
teach them the ways whenever they ask a question,
Yeah.
and be prepared for them to teach you something too. That's what I want out of new DMs. I want them to like teach me something that I didn't know, because a lot of DMs and players that are just coming into the game for the first time, they're so out of the box. You know, we get stuck inside of what you can and can't do sometimes based on all the rules that we've read, the settings that we played out of, the kinds of games that we played, and things like that. But new players, they don't know what they can do, so they ask a lot of questions like, "Can I do this?" Yeah, do the thing. Don't even worry about rolling dice or something, or roll a dice or whatever, and teach them that. And the DMs will start teaching you things too through that. Like, you don't ask the questions anymore because you already know what to, you know, kind of like you already know what's on your character sheet and what things you can accomplish, and the Dungeon Master's Guide or the Player's Handbook says you can do. Here are the rules, right? I think you'll be challenged by those new DMs with a lot of good stuff that you can glean too.
I always love asking DM. So, what do you think, Eldritch? What's Eldritch Blast look like to you?
Yep. And I will say this: if you get lucky enough to have a table with some engaged children that are into the game and having a good time, that is the perfect time for you to plant that little insidious seed for them to become one of us.
Mm-hmm.
And just say, what do you think? Would you ever want to run a game? And they're gonna be like, yeah. It's like, cool. Can I play at your table then?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll have that, and if you're lucky, they will be all, oh, the DM wants to play at my table. Oh, this is awesome. So plant the seeds, and and bring more DMs into the fold.
Here.
And we have a few more minutes left. Is there any questions in the chat that anybody has? That it could be about any of the topics we covered, anything that's not on that list, anything at all. And yeah, Krishna even brings up, he's like, I agree. There's a lot of times that I'm running a game, and I've been running games for a couple years now, and I'll feel like, oh, I totally blew that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine anybody having fun during that session because that was just horrible. But everybody had a good time. It's just put your heart and soul into it. Exactly. Nothing like it. Nothing like a 10-year-old that is so into it and coming up with these crazy cool ideas.
Yeah. I've run for 10-year-old boys, and then 12-year-old boys, and then 14. And holy moly, you want to talk about the level of energy at that table? It is like trying to wrangle a fire hose by yourself. It is a sight
every
to behold.
Saturday. My game of 8 to 12, 8 to 14-year-olds come play, and it's a whole thing.
Oh,
Very
man.
creative, and some are creative and like Dexter or something. It's scary, but yeah, no, they're ingenuitive.
Yeah, you never know. You never know what they're going to come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anything else? Yes, it is the ultimate in learning to say yes when you've got kids at the table.
Oh, because why not?
Yeah.
Huh.
Or you can do the
just do whatever, Mr. DM. You lied to me.
or you can do the no, but
Mhm.
always do the I understand what it is you're saying. How about maybe something like it? Because if you're trying to teach them the rules a little bit
Sometimes it's
too.
not I understand what you're saying. Sometimes it's what? Could you repeat that? What are you getting at here, child? And then once now I know what you're saying, then we can try and figure something.
Yeah, Mitch makes a really good point. Sometimes they're the players that give you the hardest time. Are the ones that'll come up to you after the game and be like, "That's the greatest game I've ever played," and it's incredibly rewarding and frustrating at the same time. But even still, no matter who the player is, how old the player is, you have to give them 100% of yourself. As long as you never know, because you never know how you're going to end up connecting with a person or how they're going to connect with you.
I totally agree because you never you never know. You never know what a person is pulling in from what you're giving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd love to have happy players, but if I could, I love, but the energy that I get the most from are the ones where somehow, I don't know how, magically I've exceeded their expectations, and it's like one of the best games that they've played, or one of the best tables they've played at. I love those, and I say that with all humility. That's it's a driving force for me. I want more, as much of that as I can possibly get, and it's a high that I chase after as a DM, is to make those players to really just enjoy it, be engaged.
And that Dungeon Dragon.
Yeah.
Chasing that dragon.
Chasing the dragon? Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I think it's a different thing, but that's fine too.
Well, you're chasing the dungeon dragon.
The dungeon dragon.
The dungeon dragon.
Okay, cool. So it's not an open dragon. Good.
That's
no,
dragon.
different, completely different.
Different dragon. It's a real dragon.
Well, gentlemen,
It's a fake real dragon.
Anything else to add? Is there anything else from the chat, or shall we free these poor souls to go enjoy the rest of their evening?
Take breaks. You need to pee and drink things and leg circulatory stuff. It's important. I'm not your doctor, but your doctor will say the same thing. Be healthy, y'all.
Be healthy, y'all.
Go find more DMs. I want to hear their voices.
Yeah. And learn those adventures. And run great games.
Yep. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful night and a wonderful tomorrow.
Office hours are ending now.
She didn't mean right now. She didn't mean right now, Matt.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, like not off the cuff, please.
Not off the cuff.
Let's not improv that one.
We need to workshop that.
All right, everybody.
Yeah. All right.
Have a great night,
game, everybody.
Take care.
Yeah.